have a speech impediment. I've had it since the second grade.
Also, essentially what I have is a mild to moderately severe high-frequency hearing loss in both ears. Essentially what that means is it varies from different frequencies, mild in like lower frequencies, and as you go higher it just drops off even more. And that was something I got from my mother on my genetic end of things, which I was diagnosed when I was 15. It started when I was 14. I know a little bit of sign because my mom is deaf and we took classes together, and we're actually hoping to do some more this summer.
And I deal with anxiety. It's definitely affected me in my social life with like relationships and even working, like schoolwork and all this stuff. When I get anxiety, it makes me want to shut down. It makes me like not want to do things because it makes me feel like I'm not capable of doing them.
Well, it's hard to meet new people. Like sometimes I'm afraid how they'll react, and I think like it'll make them not want to speak with me again. So it's hard sometimes.
It's changed a lot of things since when I first discovered I had it. It went from, since I had normal hearing for a long time, it was a different transition. There were a lot of things I wasn't catching anymore. Conversations became more difficult. Group settings kind of like were harder to follow conversations and everything. And there's just little things like I haven't heard the leaves on the trees move in the wind for like 3-4 years now. Essentially there's this effect with my type of hearing loss being with nerve damage, where it's essentially, say a normal person hearing wise starts hearing something here, it gets too loud for you here. For me, since I don't hear it till more around here, it's pretty loud by the time I start hearing it, so it gets too loud more around here. At which point some sounds that people find normal, just kind of loud or tolerable, or loud and annoying but tolerable, can be extremely painful. So that's one thing with like scraping of chairs, different things like that. Dishes clattering can be painful, so that makes some things like different jobs, etc., and just some everyday activities be a bit difficult in that way. And as I said, just like being able to talk with people can be a bit more difficult, especially more soft-spoken people, which I get because I'm fairly soft-spoken myself, but things like that.
When I feel anxious, sometimes it's hard to describe. That's the thing. Like this word is like hard for people to understand because it's all internally. I feel like sometimes my chest is like tight in a way, and like my heart is like beating really fast. Like I can't stop thinking. I'm very like overwhelmed. Like every little thing is just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of not really like irritates me, but just affects me in a way, and like emotionally. And so I need to like take that step back because sometimes I feel like I can't like breathe properly in a way. I need to like take a breath before I like have like an anxiety attack. That's a good way of describing that.
Do you feel? I used to be bullied for it, but I don't. Sorry. I don't experience that right now since like we're all older, but it's still like it's still a big issue. Yeah. My speech impediment has like it's made me feel like an outcast because I see everyone speak so fluently. So when I speak to someone, it's like a shock to them, since it's not a it's not something that's like visible. Like, I'm not sure if they really know like the struggle.
That I have through a few different types of different things. Some of it just from people that just don't get certain things, especially around the time when I first got it. Um, Different things with kids at school. I had just a couple days within being diagnosed. I was just looking around on the bus like I normally do. I'm just someone who keeps an eye on my surroundings, especially that becomes more of a natural habit when you have hearing loss. So, kid thought I was staring at him. I get it. He asked what I'm staring at. I'm just didn't catch what he said. So I was like, what? And so he says, "Are you deaf for something? Listen the first time." Other kids, like in the bathrooms where it's very echoey, the the dryers that are super high powered, the sound of it hitting your hand is actually very painful in the echoey rooms. But more so, echoing makes it a lot worse for whatever reason. But so, simply, it hurt a lot, and I was like right next to him when he did it. So it's just like, do you mind just waiting for me to like leave next time? For that, I have the words, "It's not my problem," things like that.
Yes, and good, and like, I may not see it, but you could hear people like talk and things, and like you may not like, it might not be towards you, but you could hear people talk about people who deal with things I do, because not everyone knows that I deal with it. A lot of people will say things like, oh, they just use their anxiety or whatever it is as an excuse of how they feel, supposedly how they feel, or that's just their crutch, or that's just something to get them out of a situation.
I wish people would see that my speech impediment doesn't define me, since it's something you're not able to see. So I feel like it's easier for people to make fun of at first. So I wish people would be more patient with me.
For wishing people understood more, I'd say more of the, as I said, the what they call recruitment, that whole thing getting tighter and whatnot, where different things that they do that's like very painful, people typically just don't notice that it's painful and whatnot. So that's one thing that I kind of wish. Or also, one thing I get a lot, like, oh, you have hearing aids, shouldn't that like fix everything? And it's like, that doesn't, as much as it helps a lot, don't get me wrong, it just doesn't make it all like come back, sort of thing.
What I want them to see is like, this illness and this mental illness is not who I am. And this is not something that I want to be seen as, defined as. It's something, yes, I struggle with, but I don't want you to see that, oh, she's just a girl who deals with anxiety. There's so much more to me than just that. That's just a small aspect of my life, even though it's something that has like controlled me with everything I've gone through, but it's also helped me like grow to be the person I am, and has helped me through a lot of things in a way. But I just don't want to be seen as a person with anxiety. God intends for me to be seen like as his child, not just someone who deals with a mental illness.
My biggest dream in life is to get a successful job, and hopefully hopefully my speech impediment won't be an obstacle to achieve that dream. I hope in the future there's more awareness to my issue, my problem.
Actually, that's a funny story. My dream career I can't exactly do anymore because of my hearing. And it was originally going to be I was going military, and then from there, depending on how long, I'm not sure, depending on how long I could stay in the military. And I'd go from there and do SWAT team and law enforcement, and then my ears kind of took that away. But essentially, just from there was more of a thing where it was God redirecting me to where I needed to be, because otherwise, without that, I definitely wouldn't have looked elsewhere, honestly. So you could say that dream career is more like wherever God leads me at this point.
It's funny because like a lot of those reason with dealing with anxiety and everything, it's tied into what I wanted to do, and I want to be a teacher, especially for high school students, because that's why I dealt with this a lot was when I was younger, especially for high school, making decisions, going through a lot of changes. And I want to be a teacher to show these students that they're not alone in what they are capable of, and shouldn't let these things hold them back because they're capable of so much more.